Good morning, Chit Chat Kit Kats about when I'm doing my tarot readings, okay? So depending on what I'm reading on, I adjust the meanings of the cards. Like Pentacles are usually the ground, what's happening, concrete things, daily life could be that as well, could be monetary, okay? Now, if I'm doing a reading on crime or something to do with law, etc., then many times for me, Pentacles will be the evidence, okay? The evidence that they have. So Pentacles could be any of those things on my readings. Either it's what's happening now, daily life, the ground, the reality, okay? Concrete things happening. Again, could be monetary, could be evidence, that type of things. Now the swords have to do with the mental realm. So it could be ideas, it could be information, it could be, again, when you see swords like the abuse of power, it's an abuse of mentality, etc. So again, swords are having to do with that type of a realm. So you adjust it depending on what you're reading on. It could also be... swords can also be weapons, weapon of choice, something like that as well. If you are doing a reading on a death, a murder, something, it could be a weapon, okay? So then we have the cups. Or, okay, also the swords could be wind. If you're doing a reading about weather, that type of thing, swords can also be the wind, okay? So moving forward, cups. Cups are doing with emotional realm or water events, okay? That type of thing also could do with compassion, those types of things, again, emotional happenings or water events. And then the when you're dealing with the rods, staves, however you want to say it, it's energetic. So it's to do with motion. It could be if you're doing weather reports, it could be action. So an action when it comes to earthquakes, it could be something to do with that, but it's usually something to do with energetic actions that are being done by a person or whatever, the action of an investigation, etc. It always has to do with some sort of action or motion that you are reading on. So now when I'm doing my reading, it's different than a lot of readers do. I see them as conversational, basically, okay? To me, when I'm reading them, it's a conversation. And you'll see when I'm reading, once in a while things will change depending on the reading, how I read that card. It's not always a singular thing. I think a lot of people, when they learn to read, this means this and that's it, and, so they get a bit confused. But I'm saying if you're going to read tarot, develop your own language with the cards, okay? So for me, when I read it, it's like reading a sentence. You have justice or justice denied or whatever. Justice is also about balance. It's, So to justify something, it could be. So again, you have to be open when you're reading your cards and spend time with it. See what it means to you, because you're the one that's communicating with the cards. It's not about what somebody else thinks that card means. And I have people sometimes that will come, well, that card doesn't mean that. Well, it means that to me, and I'm the one that's reading it. Okay, so I go based on my interpretations of the cards, not based on, I never look at the book. When I buy a deck of cards and it comes with a book, I don't open the book. I don't care how fabulous the book looks. I'm not reading it based on somebody else's perceptions. I'm reading it based on mine. Okay? So again, the best information I can have for you in learning to read the cards is you do it by intuition. Okay? You can look at the pictures. Now, some of my decks have different pictures. And so depending on what deck I pull, I don't think ahead of time what deck am I going to use. And somebody was just saying they like the deck that's got the train bearing down. Well, that definitely has a different feeling than another deck that's got something else based on that. So you read it based on the image of the card sometimes as well. You can get different information on it in different decks, okay? So you're reading the image of the card, you're reading your interpretation of it, and again, with different decks, I get different information, different viewpoints, again, based on the images and how it's hitting me at the moment and the question at hand, okay? So yeah, for different decks, there are different meanings for the same card because the imagery is different. Now, I will add, like I said, I have my Lenormand deck that I created. I love this one, the fly in the ointment. This was a fly that had landed on my cup of coffee. And I had a very good camera that was able to take this big, this big picture of this fly. So the fly, you know, again, if you're doing Lenormand, like my deck is very expanded. You know, it could be the fly on the wall, seeing other information. Usually it's the fly in the ointment, some difficulty there, you know, or you could be something going to fly away. Okay? It could be if you're reading on, let's say you were reading on diseases or something. It could be a bringer of disease. So again, you expand the meanings of the cards based upon what you're reading. Like here is I took this picture. This was out, what's the name of that area? It's out in California, but I can't remember the name. But anyway, I took the picture of this rainbow. You know, rainbow can be promises. It could be money at the end of something, you know. So again, the colorization of something could be, if you're reading on gay, could be something gay. Again, you expand the meaning of it just based on the reading you're doing. Now, the broom in a lot of Lenormand, usually it's kind of arguments or difficulties, but it's also, I see it as something that could be swept under the carpet, sweeping something out, okay? It could be that. It could be found dirt on something. Again, this is kind of like Rorschach. If they have a Rorschach image, you see what that image means to you. Okay? So same thing. This is about seeing what they mean for you at that time, being open to expanding your ideas about the cards. Now, when I'm using the playing deck, for me, I use these just like I do reading the regular tarot. Okay? So, again, wands are actions. These could be evidence, it could be monetary, it's what's being juggled, etc. The mental realm, what's being blocked, or trying to figure out the twos are about balance, moving, starting to put something into motion. So again, with these, you don't have the images, so it's a little bit more, I would say, open to interpretation in one way, because you don't have a locked-in image with it. So I just wanted to put that out there, a little bit more aid in reading your cards. And like I said, I have this deck, and sometimes I'll even put these out here. Now these are, I think they were more like oracle cards or something like that. But these are very interesting images on these. This is a couple of decks. And I will use these. You see that I use these in conjunction with tarot or Lenormand, or I might use these by themselves. And again, you have an expanded ideology when it comes to using these. It puts something else different in the mix. So I don't sit there and think, oh, what cards would be good for this? I'll just pull a couple of things and put them together, okay? And it creates a story. It creates a story. So we say we pick this one. This is Splendor. We have this bird flying in. We have somebody dressed there. Splendor. And say we wanted to pick, let's use the Dark Tarot. And we're going to pick a card from the Dark Tarot. Splendor. The Eight of Wands. So rapidly coming in. Now, a splendor of something rapidly coming in, it could be something dark element, but if it's reading on a negative, that they are caught up in the rapid motion of this, and they're seeing it as something that they are entranced by, okay? The splendor of this dark thing moving, okay? That they just think this is the greatest thing ever. They're colorizing it, splendor. It's a lot of color, okay? So they're colorizing what's moving, okay, in this darker thing. They're really engaging in it, if you could say, okay? They're colorizing it into something other. So it could be something very dark in motion, but they're trying to highlight it as if it's, it would be like the Hitler regime, okay? And they have these women that got involved with these high-ranking Hitler officials and the splendor and just, the darkness of it, and they were just captivated by it, okay? And so they saw it as something splendor. This was fabulous, okay? So again, you open up your interpretation to expand on it. When you're linking them together, it's creating a story. So that's what it's about with your cards. You're creating a story. You feel how the energy of them work together to create the story at hand, what you're seeing, okay? So on that note, I'll leave that here. Hopefully that's helped you in your journey with doing tarot. I know a lot of people just get so locked into, this card has to mean this and this card has to mean that. But, I taught myself tarot. And it was all just through sitting with the cards. What does this card mean to me? What is it evoking? What is the depth of meaning for myself? And the more you work with them, the more it will expand. So hopefully that's helped you in your journey. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you online.